Learn how to become a nurse. Nursing shortages are a typical occurrence. Nurses are required in hospitals, clinics, doctors' offices, nursing homes, and home healthcare settings. Learning how to be a nurse is an excellent method to break into the healthcare industry. Starting out. 1. Obtain a high school diploma or GED. To be able to pursue a career as a nurse, whether as an LPN, an RN, or something else, you must first complete high school. To get into a good nursing school, you must also have good GPA. To be admitted into a nursing program, many nursing schools require a pre-entrance exam. Many colleges offer various programs, however it is important to note that all of them require prerequisite courses. Typical necessary courses include up to 4 years of English, math, science, social studies, and potentially a couple years of a foreign language from high school and college. 2. Find an entry-level position in the healthcare industry. While it is not usually required, some institutions do demand prior healthcare experience in order to be admitted into their program. If you have the time and willingness, becoming a CNA, Certified Nursing Assistant, is an excellent place to start. Not only will you get experience, but it will also demonstrate your seriousness. When you work as a CNA before becoming a nurse, you have a good stepping stone into the healthcare field, and your future nursing coworkers will respect the fact that you were an aide before becoming a nurse. Volunteering at a local hospital or doing administrative work at a clinic also looks good on your resume and exposes you to the surroundings. If you enjoy working at a hospital, you will have a greater understanding of the reality of nursing as a career. The more experience you have in this context, regardless of the type of experience, the better. Some people may discover that doing aide work makes them realize that nursing is not for them. 3. Determine whether or not becoming an LPN, LVN is a good fit for you. CNAs, LPNs, and RNs are all common in hospitals. LPNs are also known as licensed practical, vocational nurses. A licensed practical nurse, LPN, or licensed vocational nurse, LVN, can perform basic essential care for the patient, administer medications, and report the patient's status to the registered nurse, RN, or the doctor, generally under the supervision of an RN. They're still nurses, only with less control. The majority of nurses may become LPNs in about 18 months. LPNs and LVNs take the NCLEX PN exam rather than the NCLEX RN exam. LPNs are transitioning away from hospitals and towards long-term care facilities and offices, according to recent developments in the profession. 4. Determine whether or not being an RN is a good fit for you. RNs concentrate on the pathophysiology of it all. Normally, an RN is in command of the LPNS, but the RN is also responsible for the LPN's patients. As a result, for the patient's safety, the LPN and RN must often comprehend and communicate with one another. Instead of just doing tasks, the RN must think critically on the job. Analyzing lab findings, passing drugs, teaching patients on why they take drugs, carrying out plans of care, and serving in supervisory roles are all common responsibilities of an RN. 5. Choose the program that best meets your requirements. With online courses and weekend opportunities, being a nurse is easier than ever. The work is still challenging, but there is now more flexibility. Some programs are only available online. This could be perfect for individuals who have families. Some students require a classroom setting in order to learn and profit from it. There are various solutions accessible for each sort of nurse. 6. Investigate LPN programs. LPNs can enroll in accelerated programs. Look into recognized schools in your state, as well as the NCLEX PN pass rates for their students. For most, this is merely a stopover on the route to becoming an RN. If that appeals to you, inquire about your school's ADN or BSN program. Once you're halfway through, they may have an LPN designation built in. Otherwise, you should be aware that you can become an LPN after around 18 months of training, mostly through hospitals or community colleges. 7. Investigate RN programs. An associate degree in nursing, ADN, is typically followed by a Bachelor of Science in Nursing, BSN. There has recently been a push for RNs to obtain a BSN rather than an ADN. The BSN degree is more focused on nursing research. Nurses with a BSN also have additional opportunities because many employers require it of new nurse applicants. An ADN takes 2 to 3 years to complete, whereas a BSN takes 4 years to complete for a full-time student, making the BSN a far more expensive option. Following graduation, recipients of both degrees are eligible to take the NCLEX exam. The number of RN to BSN programs available has increased in recent years, with a 22.2% increase between 2011 and 2012. Obtaining a BSN enables you to eventually pursue leadership positions, instruct nursing students, lead the administrative side, and so on. In today's society, having any 4-year degree is valuable. 8. Consider other options. There are also additional paths to becoming a nurse. Nursing diploma programs have declined considerably since the 1970s. Though these are becoming increasingly rare, they are still a feasible choice. Proceed through the military. An ROTC nursing program at a college or university can provide you with 2 to 4 years of training. You should be able to design an expedited program if you already have a 4-year degree but it is not in nursing. Simply email your transcripts to your new school and begin asking questions. It's a relatively common occurrence. Some states have even designated this as a specific classification. 9. Apply for a nursing program. Once you've decided how you want to reach your job objective, check around you at the colleges and hospitals. Some hospitals also offer programs. You must decide whether you want to attend full or part-time classes, how much money you have to spend, if you want to live on campus, and whether you want to take any of the course online. Be aware that the well-publicized nursing shortage has resulted in huge waiting lists at several schools. It is best to inquire about this before settling on one. If you already work for a hospital, see if there are any programs associated with it. If this is the case, you may be eligible for savings. 10. Obtain acceptance. Once you've decided on a school, you must apply and be accepted. How do you go about doing that? Most programs will demand high school or college transcripts, SAT, ACT scores, an essay, and letters of recommendation. On-the-job training is always beneficial. Obtain letters of recommendation from persons who work in healthcare if at all possible. Instead of sending an email, ask for the professional reference in person. If you do not work in healthcare, seek a recommendation letter from someone who is familiar with your work ethic and ambition to become a nurse. Inquire ahead of time. Don't rush the individual. Don't write about what you think is a decent answer. Write about what you believe. Using words from the heart will set you apart from the crowd. Studying and getting licensed. 1. Be a top-tier student. Anatomy, physiology, microbiology, chemistry, nutrition, psychology, and other social and behavioral sciences will be studied. Prepare to devote a significant amount of time to studying in order to succeed in such demanding courses. If you need motivation to study, remember that once you become a nurse, you will be in charge of people's lives. If you need further encouragement, keep in mind that the graduation exam costs $200 each time you take it. If you fail it, you won't be able to take it again for 45 to 90 days. 2. Perform admirably in your clinicals. Clinicals are a component of your education, however they take place outside of the classroom and in the field. Clinicals will be a great fit for you if you are a hands-on learner. Most clinicals take the place of a school day and last the duration of the nursing program. They specialize in a field such as medical surgical, pediatrics, maternity, or psychiatry. Many talents will be taught to you here, but you must be willing and ready to learn. Clinicals are like any other workday, except that they are not compensated in the same way that residents in a medical degree program are. It's common to feel anxious during clinicals. After all, you're working with actual people and are still inexperienced. Everyone goes through this, and the emotion eventually fades. Continue to learn and look for chances. 3. Preparation for the NCLEX. The exam is also referred to as the boards. It's a sequence of questions, between 75 and 265, that will put your knowledge to the test in a number of areas. You have 5 hours to complete the exam. The number of questions vary depending on the individual. The exam will be repeated until the algorithm believes it has calculated your knowledge level with 95% certainty. Finishing at 75 questions indicates you either did really well or very bad, so don't be concerned about the result. 4. Pass the exam and obtain your license. The best method to pass is to study hard and sleep well in between sessions. You should be aware that 81% of candidates pass on the first try, so you have a good chance if you arrive prepared. Consider taking advantage of one of the various preparation classes to assist with learning the potentially overwhelming quantity of information. The average examination has roughly 125 questions and lasts roughly 2.5 hours. 5. Look for work in the department of your choice. By this point, most nurses will have decided where they wish to work. You may enjoy the adrenaline rush of the the focus of the OR, dealing with children in pediatrics, newborns in labor and delivery, the elderly and long-term care patients, and so on. If you're unsure, a medical surgical unit can aid you with skill consolidation and prioritizing. Consider the reality that the baby boomers are essentially taking over the world. Working with people aged 55 and up would offer career security. Working with children is rewarding, but it can also be heartbreaking. If you decide to pursue a career in pediatrics, you will be confronted with a number of unfair conditions. In the pediatric field, there are several possibilities, including general pediatrics, pediatric critical care units, pediatric cancer units, and pediatric home care. Mother-baby units can be difficult to gain access to. Everyone wants to work with patients who are upbeat, enthusiastic, and in good health. Remember, these are also high-stress environments, with 2 lives in your hands at the same moment. When things are unhappy in these units, they are exceedingly sad. If you are accepted into this unit, be prepared to commit to a night shift employment for many years because most OB nurses do not leave. Nowadays, the majority of procedures are scheduled. If you like working regular hours, which many nurses do, being a surgical nurse may be for you. Otherwise, be prepared to perform night shifts if necessary. 6. Consider your ideal workplace. Because nurses are required everywhere and at all times, you can imagine the variety of forms they can take. They work in hospitals, of course, but also in private homes, clinics, doctors' offices, nursing homes, and other settings. There's also the possibility of working as a traveling nurse. Many hospitals and clinics have nurses working third shift, on call, or on standby. You may also be able to choose between 8, 10, or 12-hour shifts in your ideal atmosphere. Floating between departments is another possibility. 7. Job applications are welcome. If you've ever worked in or through a hospital, this is your first port of call. If not, apply anywhere and wherever you can. Unfortunately, due to the recent economic downturn, it is becoming increasingly difficult to secure jobs, even nursing positions. However, some employers prefer recent graduates, since they are less expensive, and the need for nurses remains high. Prepare for anything by often practicing interview questions. Inquire about your prospective employer's turnover rate as well. If it's 20% or greater, it might not be the best place to start. Request to shadow for a day or two before deciding if you want to work there. Your decision may be influenced by the opinions of your coworkers. Inquire about guidance. You can expect to receive training from a preceptor. It depends on the unit, but you will be trained. The majority of orientation programs last between 6 and 12 weeks. Advancing your career. 1. Become more specialized. After a certain number of hours in your department, you should be able to obtain some sort of certification. Obtaining a credential makes you appear to be an expert in your profession and may lead to more chances. Your hospital should provide you with a course, seminar, or training session to help you become certified in this field. Ambulatory care, cardiac vascular nursing, faith community nursing, forensic nursing, genetics nursing, gerontological nursing, hemostasis nursing, informatics nursing, medical surgical nursing, nurse executive, advanced, nursing case management, nursing professional development, pain management nursing, pediatric nursing, psychiatric mental health nursing, psychiatric mental health nursing, psychiatric mental health nursing. Certifications look nice on a CV and should result in a minor wage raise. If the opportunity presents itself, seize it. You must work a certain number of hours on the floor of that department before you are even eligible for these certificates. Consider it a badge of honor rather than a specialty or qualification. 2. Prepare your mind. Nurses must deal with a variety of challenging scenarios. The work is difficult, whether it's a particularly nasty infection, vomit and excrement all over you, or a very sick baby. It is not suitable for those who are mentally, or physically, unfit. You may feel guilty for something that happened to someone at some point, whether it was out of your control or not. This is not usually a spiritually uplifting career. If you have yet to pursue this as a career, consider this before taking the plunge. Many institutions have incident response groups in place for when incidents occur on units. These groups aid in the debriefing of incidents and provide emotional support to the workers. A nurse's schedule can be quite demanding. You may work 3 12-hour shifts in a row and then take 4 days off. It could be more if you're working overtime. It may also refer to night shifts. You might even be on call on your days off. Sleep may not be a continuous companion for you. Keep track of your routine and avoid being fatigued. 3. Keep your license and credibility. The eligibility conditions for obtaining a license differ by state or region, therefore keeping yours is dependent on where you live. Your company, on the other hand, will most likely send you to workshops, seminars, and certification programs on a regular basis to keep you up to speed. It is still your professional obligation to keep your present credentials up to date. Your position will have criteria from each department. Basic life support, advanced cardiac life support, and additional criteria unique to your department of choice are common. BLS, ACLS, newborn resuscitation, and fetal monitoring, for example, are frequently necessary throughout labor and delivery. It used to be that if you had a license in one state, you couldn't get one in another. While this is still technically correct, it is gradually changing. Some states have signed the Nurse Licensure Compact Agreement, which allows nurses from other states to work within their borders. It currently has 24 states and is growing. Depending on where you reside and whether or not you've been practicing, you may need to retake your exams on a regular basis. Check the laws in your area to ensure that your license remains valid. You can find specific websites for your state's Board of Nursing by browsing the internet for your state's requirements. Unless your renewal falls through, you will never have to retake the NCLEX. 4. Continue your education. Whether you have an LPN, an ADN, or a BSN, there is always room for further study. You can complete your Master of Science in Nursing degree in as little as 1 or 2 years, allowing you to work as a nurse practitioner, clinical nurse specialist, nurse anesthetist, or nurse midwife. Then you can do and go pretty much whatever you want. If you simply have an ADN, you can complete a BSN, MSN program in 2 to 3 years. Additional certification and licensure requirements will apply. However, with a 27% higher average compensation than standard RNs, it's absolutely worth checking into. In 2011, ADNs made approximately $64,000, whereas BSNs made approximately $76,000. Thanks for watching. Now you know how to become a nurse. Follow your dream.